I never imagined I'd be sharing my life online, but here I am. In just 1 week, everything I knew crumbled, and I need to get this out somewhere. My phone's notes are overflowing, and the one friend still willing to listen is exhausted from my venting. 4 years ago, I met Ethan at a wildlife rescue centre. It wasn't some romantic movie moment. We were both serving community service hours, me for a reckless driving fine, him for something he dodged explaining with a laugh. We got stuck with the overnight shifts nobody wanted, feeding orphaned animals. One night at 3 a.m, we were both bleary-eyed, struggling with a wriggly baby raccoon that wouldn't take the bottle. I was losing patience, ready to wake the supervisor, when Ethan started humming this odd, soft melody. Like a switch, the raccoon relaxed and began drinking. Later, he told me his grandmother, who grew up on a ranch, taught him the tune to soothe frightened animals. Something about the sound's resonance, maybe. I didn't get it, but it worked. We ended up chatting until dawn, swapping numbers as our shift ended. Back then, he was kind. He'd send me quirky animal trivia, or insist I watch obscure nature documentaries he loved. Our 4 years weren't flawless. Relationships never are. We argued, mostly about his mother, a warning sign I brushed off. From the start, she'd judged me harshly. She'd nitpick my looks, my casual ponytail when I was swamped, the way I stacked her dishes, my lack of a serious career. Ethan always took her side, saying she meant no harm and I should make more effort. I tried. For years I tried. I gave her thoughtful presents, remembered her anniversaries, nodded through her dull office stories. But despite her, Ethan and I were solid most of the time. We had this weekend tradition of cooking breakfast for each other. He'd whip up these blueberry pancakes I adored. I'd make him spicy eggs with guacamole he couldn't get enough of. We had silly inside jokes, binged the same shows, and when my dog passed last year, he held me through days of tears without a word of complaint. Sometimes he'd surprise me with coffee in bed, made just right. Almond milk, half a spoon of sugar. Everyday couple things. We talked about kids in a distant, dreamy way. Not concrete plans, just possibilities. He wanted 3 kids someday. I wasn't opposed, but wanted us to be more secure first. So when I missed my period and started feeling queasy every morning, I didn't jump to pregnancy. I blamed work stress or a virus. But after weeks of feeling awful, my friend Sarah, the only one still in my corner, suggested a test to be sure. I grabbed a digital one from the store after work, the kind that spells out pregnant or not pregnant, to avoid squinting at lines. Took it Wednesday morning, staring at the bathroom tiles for 3 eternal minutes. Pregnant, clear as day. I took the second test from the pack. Same answer. I sat on the cold bathroom floor for an hour, my mind racing. How to tell him? When? I wasn't ready, but I wasn't shattered either. We had a steady relationship, a decent place, jobs. It was unexpected, not catastrophic. I was so naive. I planned to tell him Saturday over his favourite breakfast, keep it relaxed, familiar, give us the weekend to talk it through. I practiced my words endlessly in my head. Saturday morning, I woke early, made his eggs just right. Extra salsa, fresh avocado. He was still asleep, so I set the table neatly. My nerves were electric, but I felt a flicker of hope. Then the door swung open. His mom, Linda, strolled in. No warning. She had a key. Another warning I ignored. Said she was nearby and wanted coffee. Right when I was about to have the biggest conversation of my life. Perfect timing, Linda. Ethan shuffled out in his pajamas, kissed my cheek like always, and they both plopped down, glued to their phones. I served the food, hands trembling. They barely looked up. I cleared my throat, held out the test, and said I had news. Ethan glanced up. His face wasn't shocked or curious, just irritated, like I'd interrupted his scrolling. His exact words, "Terminations are simple, wrong moment." Linda sipped her coffee and chimed in, saying Ethan finally saw I wasn't attractive or ambitious, just a weight dragging him down, especially now with a baby. 4 years together, and that's what he said. No questions, no hesitation, just end it. Like it was a spilled drink to wipe away. I set the test down, wiped my hands on a towel, splashed water on my face in the bathroom. I didn't look in the mirror, knew my eyes were swollen even without tears. Slipped on my shoes, grabbed my phone and wallet, and walked out. No bag, no charger, nothing else. Kept walking until my legs ached. Ended up at a random diner I'd never seen, sitting in a back booth for hours with one overpriced tea. The waiter kept glancing over, concerned, but didn't pry. I called Sarah from the restroom, sobbing so hard I could barely speak. She let me sleep on her floor that night. And the next. Her place was cramped, reeking of cat litter and smoke. The pillow she lent me was flat, my neck stiff every morning, but it was better than the street. One day, I overslept. Pregnancy fatigue is brutal, and Sarah, half asleep herself, said I needed to stop acting like the world was against me. That stung worse than Ethan's words. She was helping me, and I was burdening her too. I quit social media after that. Couldn't handle seeing Ethan's posts or Linda's smug updates. I had only the clothes I was wearing, so I hit a thrift shop for a few shirts and pants, washing my underwear in Sarah's sink nightly. On day 5, I landed a job washing dishes at a small bakery. The owner, Clara, sized me up and hired me on the spot. No questions, just start at 6 a.m. Low pay, cash in hand. The first week was rough. Nausea, sore chest, bone-deep tiredness. I threw up mid-shift twice. Clara just handed me a mint and pointed to the mop. No fuss, just practical. I started researching support for pregnant women, booked a clinic visit to check on the baby, and tried to plan a future. Ethan began texting, casual at first. Where'd you go? Did you take my grey jacket? Then insistent, are you safe? Sarah's dodging me. Let's talk. I blocked him after a flood of messages. He switched to his work phone, then his buddy's numbers, blocked those too. Voicemails piled up. I deleted them unread at first, but one day at the bakery, curiosity won. His voice was raw, saying he freaked out, that Linda twisted his thoughts, that he didn't mean it, that he loved me. Too late. I smashed my phone against the wall, cracking the screen. Clara just passed me a dustpan and said, hearts break, plates break, keep scrubbing. I liked her. Sarah was growing frustrated with me crashing at her place. I got it. Her apartment was tiny, and I was eating her food, using her shower, taking up space. I needed a new plan. One night after a grueling shift, I returned to find Ethan on her couch. Sarah looked ashamed. He looked frantic. I turned and bolted, hearing him shout my name as I raced down the stairs. Kept running until I collapsed in a 24-hour laundromat, watching strangers fold clothes and scroll their phones while my world unravelled. That's where I'm at now. Still at Sarah's, but hunting for a new place. Still at the bakery. Still pregnant. Ethan keeps finding ways to message me. Yesterday, he sent cookies to the bakery. Clara tossed them out. I don't have a grand plan or thirst for revenge. I'm just getting through each day, but I'm done going back. To Ethan, to that apartment, to a life of never measuring up for people who'll never accept me. I'll update if things shift. Thanks for reading this far. It's me again, the pregnant girl on her friend's floor. Wasn't expecting so many people to care about my chaos. Thanks for that. After that night in the laundromat, I stayed up watching people come and go with their laundry baskets. An older man kept eyeing me, probably wondering if I was homeless or just really into late-night laundry. By morning, my back was screaming from the hard chairs, and I hadn't slept. I dragged myself back to Sarah's at 7 a.m., praying Ethan was gone. He was, but Sarah was pissed. She stood in her kitchen, arms folded, saying I'd broken her trust by coming back when she'd told Ethan I wasn't there. It made her look like a liar. I tried explaining I had no idea he'd show up, but she wasn't hearing it. She had a point. I was leaning on her too much, pulling her into my drama. She didn't kick me out, but said I needed to find a solution fast. I promised I would. I went to work at the bakery in yesterday's clothes, face unwashed, too ashamed to use Sarah's shower. Clara took one look at me and pointed to the staff bathroom where she'd left a towel and a mini shampoo. I nearly broke down but held it together and got to work. That day, I called my mum. We hadn't spoken in months. She's always been quick to criticise, and I've always been her letdown. Last call was New Year's, when she raved about my cousin Lisa's new condo and real success. I spilled everything in one breath during my break, braced for judgment. Silence. Then her familiar disappointed sigh. Said this was typical me, always needing rescuing. Said she wasn't shocked Ethan dumped me. He didn't, I left, but whatever. Said I never plan ahead. I nearly hung up but was too desperate. Swallowed my pride and asked to stay with her and Dad temporarily. She said she'd discuss it with him and call back. She didn't. 3 days later, a text. They decided it wouldn't be good for anyone if I moved in, but she could chip in for food sometimes. Thanks, Mum. Things with Sarah got frostier. I tried to be invisible, barely used the bathroom, bought cheap groceries, stayed at the bakery late. But you can't vanish in a one-room apartment. Then I got sick. Not just morning sickness, relentless vomiting. Spent a night on Sarah's bathroom floor trying not to wake her. In the morning, she found me there, sweaty and trembling. Her expression softened. She called Clara to say I couldn't work, then brewed this herbal tea her aunt swore by for nausea, sat with me while I drank it. I don't think I can do this mum thing, I admitted. I can't even manage myself. Sarah looked at me, not with pity, but something warmer. Said nobody's ready for parenting, everyone's just winging it, even the ones who seem perfect. It was our first real talk in days. The illness lingered for a week. I lost weight I couldn't spare. Clara held my job, but no work meant no pay, so my small savings went to broth and bread. One evening, feeling slightly human, Sarah sat across from me on the floor while I watched pregnancy videos. "We need a plan," she said. "You can't stay here forever, and you can't be on the streets pregnant." She opened her laptop, and we searched for resources, shelters, aid programs, clinics. I'd been avoiding this, hating to admit I needed help. But she was right. We found a women's shelter with a program for pregnant women. 6-week stay with links to longer-term housing. Not ideal, but a start. I called the next day. They had a spot in 3 days. I took it. Those 3 days were a blur. Sarah helped me apply for every program we found: healthcare, food assistance, housing. It felt humiliating, detailing my failures on forms, but I pushed through. Clara let me work light shifts despite my weakness, sent me home with leftover muffins one night. The day before moving to the shelter, Ethan showed up at the bakery. I was cleaning tables when I saw him by the door, unshaven, wearing that old hoodie I used to borrow. Clara moved like lightning, blocking him before he spotted me, said I wasn't there. He called my name, voice cracking, saying he just wanted to talk, that he was sorry. I hid in the back while Clara threatened to call the cops. The door chime rang as he left. That night, my last at Sarah's, she got me a brownie as a quirky goodbye gift. We ate it watching some trashy TV show, laughing for the first time in weeks. "Sorry I was such a mess," I said. She shrugged. "Not a mess, just a storm. Friends' weather storms." The next morning, I packed my few things into a grocery bag and headed to the shelter. It was a plain house in an unfamiliar area, nothing hinting it was a shelter from outside. Inside was different. Cameras, coded locks, sign-in sheets, rules everywhere. No guests, 8 p.m. curfew, mandatory meetings, chores. The manager, Diane, was no nonsense but fair. She showed me my space, a partitioned corner with a narrow bed and a small shelf. I'd share a bathroom with 2 others, not cozy but secure. That first night was eerie, hearing strangers' footsteps, muffled voices, someone sobbing nearby, a baby fussing. I cried into my pillow, loud but silent, letting it all out. In the morning, Diane found me in the kitchen, staring at untouched oatmeal. She slid a folder across the table, info on a prenatal clinic, free parenting classes, housing applications. "You've got 6 weeks," she said. "Use them." I tried. Went to the clinic, confirmed the baby was fine, got a part-time job at a corner store restocking shelves before opening. Awful hours, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. But better pay than the bakery. Between both jobs, I was drained but saved every penny. Ethan kept trying to reach me, showed up at the store once. I hid until my boss shooed him off. One evening, my mum called out of the blue. She'd bumped into Linda at the mall, who spun a tale about me scheming to trap Ethan with a baby and vanishing to spite him. Mum sounded unsure, asked if it was true. I told her exactly what Ethan and Linda said that morning, how I walked away, where I was now, working 2 jobs to avoid homelessness. Silence. Then, "I believe you." First time she'd ever said that. No apology for shutting me out, but she asked what I needed. I said food money. She sent some weekly via PayPal, small, but something. Week 3 at the shelter, Diane called me in. A spot opened in a subsidised housing programme. Apartments for women in crisis, 6-month leases, rent based on income. Not fancy, but private. I could stay until after the baby came. I applied that day, interviewed soon after, tried not to hope too hard. The shelter was grinding me down. No privacy, constant noise, strict rules. One woman got booted for breaking curfew, another for sneaking in her partner. The fear of having nowhere to go in weeks loomed large. I was 15 weeks pregnant, starting to show, needing bigger clothes. My back ached, my feet swelled, hunger was constant, but food was scarce. One morning at the store, I nearly fainted lifting a box. My boss sat me down, gave me water, asked if I was okay. I wasn't, sent me home early. I went to a playground instead of the shelter, watching parents push kids on swings, knowing I'd be one soon. Terrifying, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Ethan. Should have hung up, but I didn't. He said he'd started counselling, that Linda had warped his view of me for years, that he panicked when I showed the test, said he'd been searching for me to make it right. I let him talk, stayed silent. When he finished, I asked, "Did you mean what you said that day?" He paused, then admitted, "Yes, in that moment I did. I was scared and selfish, but I was wrong." His honesty surprised me. I told him it changed nothing, that I was moving forward alone, that I'd reach out when ready, but he had to stop chasing me. He tried to protest, but I insisted respect meant giving me space. He agreed, asked to know when the baby was born. I said maybe, then hung up. The next day, I got approved for the apartment. Move-in was a week away, my own small studio. Not much, but safe. I told Sarah first. She whooped so loud I flinched. Clara just grunted, "About damn time." I called my mum, surprising myself. She didn't cheer but said she was relieved, offered to help move. I declined but thanked her. The night before moving, another shelter resident, a shy girl named Mia, escaping a toxic ex, gave me a tiny gift bag. Inside was a green onesie with stars. The first baby gift I'd gotten. I teared up. She patted my arm and slipped away. The next morning, I packed my things, including the onesie, and Diane drove me to my new place. The apartment was bare, a single room, a corner kitchenette, a cramped bathroom, windows facing a concrete wall, but it had a lock, a bed, a table. Mine. Diane gave me a basket of essentials, paper towels, soap, then left. I sat on the bed, listing next steps. Find a nearby doctor, seek a better job, get a crib, save more, research daycare. Overwhelming, but I had time now. 6 months to plan. My phone pinged. Mom sent $300 via PayPal, note saying, for what you need. More than she'd ever sent. People can surprise you. It's been months, 4 to be exact. Can't sleep, so here I am at 3 a.m, typing this with my daughter dozing on my chest. Yeah, I'm a mum now, still surreal to say. Last time I'd just settled into the studio apartment. I went into overdrive making it mine, scored a free end table from a neighbour's curb, bought cheap plates from a discount store, started feeling like a home. My mum kept sending small amounts of money, and we talked more, stilted calls, but progress. She visited once, dropping off a bag of baby clothes from thrift stores. We grabbed coffee nearby, didn't talk much, but it was a step. At 19 weeks, I had an ultrasound. Girl. The tech asked if I wanted to share with the dad. I shook my head. Afterward, I sat in my car, staring at the blurry images. My daughter. It hit hard. She was real, not just a concept. Ethan had gone quiet, respecting my request for space. Part of me was glad, part annoyed he'd stopped trying so fast. Irrational, I know. By week 24, pregnancy got tougher. Constant back pain, sleepless nights. The store job was too much. My feet swelled painfully. Had to quit, cutting my income. Clara gave me more bakery hours, mostly prep work I could do seated, and sent me home with extra bread. I met my neighbour, Nora, a single mum with a 1-year-old. She saw me struggling with groceries one day and stepped in. Checked on me regularly, shared meals, became my first new friend. She volunteered at a charity that gave baby supplies to mums in need. Took me there, and they gave me a foldable crib, clothes, diapers, a sling carrier. I cried in their office, hormones, gratitude, all of it. At 29 weeks, Sarah texted. She'd seen Ethan at a party. He asked about me, looked rough. I didn't reply. Looking back felt risky. Then my dad called, first time in over a year. Sounded nervous, said Mom filled him in, apologised for not stepping up, said they wanted to visit after the baby. I was wary. Dad's never been warm, but he seemed sincere. I said I'd consider it. At 33 weeks, Linda posted a vague, dramatic rant online about stolen grandchildren and cruel mothers. Didn't name me, but it was obvious. Friends sent screenshots. One old acquaintance offered to drop off food, appalled by Linda. I was furious but didn't respond publicly. Didn't need the drama. Blocked her and her supporters. Ethan called the next day, apologising for his mum, saying he'd made her delete it. Then he asked to be there for the birth. I said no, needed that moment for me. Said we'd discuss his role later, after things calmed. If he wanted to be a dad, he'd respect my terms now for a stable future. He paused, then agreed, asked to know when the baby arrived. I said I'd let him know after, not during, hung up. I wrestled with what role he'd have. None? Visits? Nora, who co-parents, said treat it like a contract. Civil, focused on the kid, no old baggage. Sounded smart, hard to do. At 36 weeks, I had a scare, thought I was in labour, rushed to the hospital alone at 1 a.m. False alarm, just practice contractions. Doctor said first babies often come early, so be ready. My plan was me getting to the hospital, me delivering, me figuring it out. Nora offered to be my support person. I hesitated, but accepted. She was right. No one should face that alone. The apartment's 6 months would end when the baby was a few months old. I was on housing waitlists, but they were endless. Savings weren't enough for a normal lease. My parents called weekly now, navigating old wounds carefully. They offered to stay after the birth. I said yes, needing the help. At 39 weeks, my water broke at the bakery. I was mopping when it happened. Clara saw, said, "That's it, kid. Go time." Called Nora while I stood there, stunned. Nora drove me to the hospital, staying through 20 hours of labour, holding my hand, fetching water, not flinching when I gripped her too hard. At 5:42 a.m, my daughter arrived. 6 pounds, 1 ounce, dark curls, tiny perfect hands. The nurse laid her on me, and she stared like she knew me, like we'd been waiting. We stayed 2 days. I was paranoid they'd see I was clueless and not let me take her home, but they just handed me papers, strapped her into Nora's car seat and sent us off. Mum and Dad came the next day. Mum jumped in, cooking, cleaning, holding the baby so I could nap. Dad was shy at first, scared to touch her, but soon he was rocking her to sleep better than anyone. I sent Ethan a photo and stats the day after we got home. Time, that we were fine. He replied with heavy emotion I wasn't ready for. I said I'd reach out later and left it there. Those first weeks were a fog. No sleep, constant learning. My parents helped, though they still said hurtful things sometimes, still didn't fully get why I left Ethan. They stayed 10 days, enough for me to find my footing. Before leaving, Dad said they had a rental house, usually for students, but the tenants were moving soon. Offered it to us for low rent, just covering costs. I was stunned. Said I'd think about it. I'm still in the apartment, saving for the house move. My daughter's growing fast and every day's a mix of fear and wonder. Thanks for following my mess, strangers. It means more than you know. Please like and subscribe my channel.